Hello there, my name is Paul Campbell, and I am going to continue to read You Know Something Is Wrong When, An American Affidavit of Probable Cause by Anna Maria Riezinger and James Clinton Belcher. The First Big Lie. Now step back in time to the early 1600s. I claim this land in the name of King James I. The colonists pretended that the land was vacant and open to claim. They discounted the Indians because they weren't Christian. The second big lie. Later, the colonists tried to buy the land from the Indians, who told them that they didn't own the land. The land owned the people. The colonists ignored this and forced the Indians to accept gifts as payment and concocted contracts of sale based on this practice. When you think about it, the Indians had it right. This and every other nation you can think of is founded on lies and false claims. Buying and selling and taxing land is a con game in which we buy back the right to enjoy assets that were already given to us. Genesis chapter 1, 26 through 28. Those in the middle, the trustees, are cheating us and enriching themselves, whether it's the Pope, the King of Spain, or the state of Ohio. Because the Indians continued their efforts to bring this fraud to everyone else's attention, they were deemed enemies of the crown and subjected to physical and cultural genocide for 400 years. Men, women, and children, they died to bring you this basic truth. They were killed because they knew and spoke this truth in your behalf as well as their own. The trust, again. Native Americans had their own vision of the trust. In their view, it was simple and obvious. 1. The trust is sacred and belongs equally to all people. 2. The trust requires our gratitude. We cannot take without giving. 3. The trust requires caretaking. This generation cannot destroy what is owed to the next. It is every adult's duty to hand over the trust in the same or better condition than he received it. Anyone who wastes resources or pollutes the world is viewed like a 2-year-old with a hammer, too ignorant to know better, dangerous, and needing guidance and discipline. The Europeans conquered by force and by guile, but they lost the moral debate forever. Kill the buffalo, and you kill the Indians. Commander W.M.F. Cody. But nobody can accuse you of genocide. Let us put our minds together and see what kind of life we can make for our children. Sitting Bull. The French and Indian War, American, aka the 30 Years' War, European. We can't call it the 30 Years' War in America because that would admit that the French and Indian War was an extension of the 30 Years' War in Europe, which would admit that it was all Britain and France's fault that such a war existed. That in turn would show that the colonials were innocent third parties drawn into a British war for profit scheme, from which we did not profit and for which we handed the bill. This is a recurrent theme. Britain starts a war with some other party. Americans fight for the British, and then America gets handed the bill for it. 1776. Dear Parliament, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that King George III is a delusional twit. He made a lot of treaties with the Indians we can't keep, and we are not picking up the tab for the latest war. Respectfully, yours, the Colonials. The American Revolution, what we got out of it. We won absolute control of the land jurisdiction, Every American has more civil authority on the land than the entire federal government. The American Revolution, what King George got out of it. Well, not a bad return on that investment, George old chap. Number one, permanent control of American international commerce and shipping via control of the jurisdiction of the sea. Two, tribute in the form of minerals, gold, silver, and copper. Three, no further obligation to the native aboriginal people to stop westward colonization. Four, no obligation to send support, men, or supplies to the colonies anymore. Five, the colonists, now heavily in debt to King George and obligated to pay for funding both sides of the conflict. Six, all British commercial interests remained intact. So, as a result of the American Revolution, the Americans got control of the land jurisdiction, but the Brits retained control of the high seas and navigable inland waterways. The jurisdictions were split. This created the need to set up two separate national trusts and created two separate nations with two different kinds of citizens, all living under one roof right from the start. That is part two. Next time we will be going over part three.